Hey everyone, I'm Swift, striker for Nant Esport, and I'm usually playing or casting in VRML, playing Echo Arena, but in the off-season, let's look at the brand new game coming out of First Contact Entertainment, which is Solaris Offworld Combat. First of all, it's only available right now on Oculus and PC platforms, that is to say the Rift CV1 and Rift S, as well as the Quest, and up and coming the Quest 2. I'm currently playing with an Oculus Rift CV1 as well as a CV1 touch controllers, just to let you know what experiences I am currently having. Solaris is a VR competitive shooter in its own niche. The closest to compare would probably be Tower Tag, but even then it's much faster paced, and I personally enjoy that a lot more than Tower Tag's kind of just move around the tower dynamic. The gunplay changes drastically depending on which map you play and which guns you also pick up. And similar to Quake, instead of loadout systems you see popularly coming out of games now like Call of Duty, it is using the kind of pick-up gun system where you can only pick up health, armor, and weapons from the floor instead of pre-creating classes. So speaking of the weapons, let's take a look at some of those. First of all, there's a starting pistol, which is like you start with the MG in Quake, but fortunately not quite as useless as the MG from Quake, so it's actually decent. Assuming you hit your headshots, which it's still pretty difficult to do, it is a VR shooter after all, but yeah, it's pretty decent. It's single shot, so you pretty much shoot as fast as you can with your index finger. So following this is a grenade launcher, so you can just pull the trigger if you want and launch a grenade, which actually goes pretty far, or you can hold the trigger down and launch the grenade much further, and the projectile will also go faster as well. So if you're trying to read someone's direction, maybe opt for holding down the trigger. But what I find most people doing is if they just need to shoot a little bit longer range, they just tilt the gun upwards and start firing that way. The rocket launcher, what else can I say? It's a rocket launcher, except for the fact that don't try and rocket jump, because unfortunately that feature is not in the game just yet, although I would still be looking forward to a feature like that, even if it's motion sickening for most. And then there's also the standard MG, which is not like the one from Quake either. You don't start with it, you have to go pick it up, and it's pretty much just a standard assault rifle, except it shoots slightly slower projectiles than the pistol does, but they do about the same amount of damage as the pistol, the only difference it being automatic. So it's much easier to hit your headshots with this weapon, which means that it's very effective at medium and close range. First of all, you've got Tarvos or Tarvos, however you want to pronounce that. And there's two variants of this map, which is Prime and Minor, and Prime being 3 large and 2 small capture points, and this map is surrounded with tight hallways, which makes it really fun for playing those grenade launchers and the rocket launchers, which I told you about earlier. And Minor only has 3 capture points, and gameplay on the Minor maps are typically much faster paced, and it's all about just rushing in. So luckily, you're not encouraged to camp other than on the capture point, which they specifically make very difficult to hold. On the capture points, they don't have any cover typically. You have to pick that up, you have to place it yourself, and even then, the shields you can place on the floor are not huge, and they barely cover one body. So it's pretty risky to actually just stand on the capture point. So this is why usually in a 4v4 you'll have 2 people on the capture point and 2 people holding outside of it, and yeah, just kind of having different roles, which I think also transfers into the competitive potential of this game, but I'll get onto that a little bit later. Let's carry on with the maps. Next is VORTEX, which is 3 variants: Prime, Major, and Minor. Major is absolutely huge, and it has to be my least favorite variant. It's the slowest paced out of most of the maps, and the teleporters can be confusing at first, but even when you get used to them, because of the the hints it gives you, so whichever capture point it'll be in a specific area that you have to teleport to, and the teleporter will match that shape. So yeah, even when you get used to those, it just becomes a little bit irritating to just be teleporting around all the time. Sometimes you'll teleport straight into enemies, which you can't really do much about. So Major's slightly better in that regard, and has much more of a circular layout, so that in the main area it makes rotations a little bit less of a hassle. It's still a little bit frustrating, Minor, it's quite a bit better. There's much less teleporting going around unless you're dying every 15 seconds. You pretty much only teleport in and out of the point, and yeah, there's pretty much only 2 locations in this map where you actually have to go to. And the next map, and on a much brighter note in fact, Fury 451. So there are gaps in the floor which you kind of have to avoid while fighting the enemy. And they're not in kind of annoying positions. You would only really go towards the lava in order to get a risk-rewards kind of situation. So, for example, there's stalactites over most of the lava pits that hold good weapons such as machine gun, and then the rocket launcher, and also the sticky launcher. So, yeah, it's a risk-reward map, and it's very rushy. There's a lot of different levels to Fury 451, which I think is why I like it so much, as well as a lot of vertical dynamic. Next to the nitty-gritty, which is the movement and controls. If the movement and controls of your VR game is terrible, no one's going to play it. So, how are the movement systems in Solaris? Well, they are pretty good when you get used to them. It's very competitively based, and it's definitely designed from the ground up to be not abusable. So for example, you can't move around in your play space. Take notes ready at dawn. The controls, yeah, they're pretty weird. You move around with your left stick, and you sprint with your left stick as you would with every other game, VR or not. And you can crouch either by crouching in real life or pressing A, which is the bottom button on your right controller, which will make you slide if you're running. So yeah, you can slide around all day long, and you'll just go so much faster than everyone else. There is a stamina mechanic that I believe only kicks in once you kind of crouch and slide for a certain amount of time. Then you won't be able to sprint for a while. Now your left hand, other than movement and other than using the buttons on it, it's completely useless. Your left hand isn't tracked throughout the entire game, so that means that your left arm that's simulated in game, it only attaches to your weapon when your right arm gets kind of over here, close to where your left arm would be. It doesn't actually, I don't even think it even knows where your left controller is for the majority of the game. So I definitely do enjoy that style of movement, especially when it comes to a competitive shooter. And it feels very similar to kind of Counter-Strike in VR, with that kind of very almost binary movement of the character, which is very fun to play, and it makes the game pretty fast-paced. And the movement mechanics, I think, are what makes this game so quick and so just about rushing, and what makes it inherently so fun to play. Thank you everybody for watching my review. This is the first scripted video I've done, so if you hated it, then please let me know in the comments down below. I will show you just a clip here of one of the games I've won in Solaris, which is probably one of the closest games I've ever played, so if you want to, then stick around for that gameplay at the end. But if not, thank you for watching anyway. I've been Swift, and I'll see you all next time.
You just came in.
Get in there, get in there.
Get on point, get on point.
FedEx.
Everyone get on point. He's dead. Fuck. Oh, where's the fucking health pad, dude?
There's some upstairs.
Triangle. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Yes!
Oh, let's go.
There we go. Good game! 3 in a row, man. 3 in a row.
This is like my 4th or 5th match in a row.